to maybe the people who need a quick refresher, can you give us that TLDR of what went down with FTX? Like if you had to explain it to someone 1, 2, 3 minutes, could you give us the story of kind of the early November until about now?
Greed. There you go. That's the story. It's a story of greed. It's a story of power. It's a story of money laundering. It's a story of political donations. And all this stuff is proven. None of it is, hyperbole. None of it is, we're exaggerating. Even the politicians, Maxine Waters was on TV a couple nights ago on the news, and she said, yeah, we think there's something wrong with this money that was given. Pretty much was not to put words in her mouth. That's pretty much what she said. And so, it really, you have to go back to Alameda Research. Alameda Research was a venture capital arm, or it actually was where all this started. So it wasn't an arm at that point. It was just a VC, firm. And they had made their money investing in a lot of different projects, including Solana, which there's going to be some stuff coming out about Solana in the next few weeks. People are not going to like either, because the story has got so many tentacles. It keeps going. We found out some more stuff about what they were doing as well. But basically, when it comes to Alameda, they created a company called FTX. Sam Bankman-Fried was the original. I think he was technically in the beginning, he was the CEO of Alameda. He ended up moving to the CEO of FTX. He owned almost all of both companies. He owned a lot of it. He was the mastermind. Well, he was the front man at least for it, and he definitely did have a role in some of the masterminding stuff. But what he did is they created basically an online casino, which was FTX. It was the casino for the degenerate gambling from Alameda, and they would pass money back and forth. They created the FTT token, which is interesting. You look at Binance Coin, for instance, with Binance BNB. It has a utility, it serves for gas on the BNB chain. And then also on top of that, you get trading fee discounts when you use it on the site for Binance. FTT had no utility. It was just a token there. It was like, why? Because all they did was wash trade it back and forth with Alameda. And so there's a lot to the story, but one of the aspects of this was that if you look at the ratios of longs to shorts on FTX, it was drastically on the side of shorts. It's almost like an infinite amount of shorts on that site compared to other places. You're like, why? Well, what they were doing is, for a lot of these projects, they were creating synthetic perpetual futures contracts. And they were also creating literally counterfeit coins for some of these projects that they listed on there. There's plenty of other predatory business practices they were doing, which we could get into. However, what they were doing is they were counterfeiting the supply on the exchange. So there was only so much really liquid. They were just putting zeros and ones and saying, hey, this is how many coins we had. So what happens is that their insolvency hole kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because when they would counterfeit the coins, what people would come in and withdraw, and every time they withdrew, they were actually withdrawing real assets. And so eventually it was a little insolvency hole. It got a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. Alameda had a back door built in where they could borrow as much money as they want, so they could pull any of the real liquidity. And eventually it just caught up with them. We had been working on a story with NBC News with Gretchen Morgensen about everything we knew about FTX. This was I think like November 1st or October 30th or somewhere around there, Halloween. That's when we started down this rabbit hole with the insolvency and with Gretchen Morgensen. And what happens is in the middle of us doing this story, we put out a tweet saying, get your money off FTX, whatever you do, take your money off. So we were warning people. October 29th was when we did that tweet. We started finding out about this stuff. Well, what happens is CZ from Binance just blew the whole thing up. We were working on this story, and we were going to try to introduce it in a way that didn't totally wreck the market, because we were being sensitive of the people that, number one, had money in the market, number one, had money on FTX. I believe Brett Harrison, the former CEO of FTX US, he's the whistleblower. He stepped down or got fired from FTX US. The next day, he followed me on Twitter. I think that was a sign. He was a good guy. He was trying to get out. He wanted to tell somebody. He ended up not messaging me. But the point is that when Brett Harrison left, and that insolvency hole kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, he then blew the whistle to CZ about the books there. And also he had internal information about Sam trying to throw CZ and Binance under the bus. He dumped all of his FTT tokens, which were just an inflated nothing coin that, FTX and Alameda trade back and forth, and it destroyed the liquidity. It dropped, I think, 85% in one day. People lost a bunch of money. They had to freeze withdrawals on the site. People saw the insolvency hole, and the rest is history.